My name's Aloud. I'm the play development worker for the Cardiff Play Aloud team. We're funded by the Big Lottery and we work with Cardiff Council and the Vale of Glamorgan Council, and the aim of the project is to provide more access to free play opportunities. There's a lot of focus on youth development and youth groups, which tend to be 10 to 25. There's a lot of groups focused on under 5, and when we speak about play, it's we work with under 5s, whereas that gap of 5 to 14 and especially 8 to 12, and that transitional age from primary school to high school, there's a huge gap in the market, I suppose, to be filled by us and by the community groups that we work with. What we do is we identify communities across Cardiff and the Vale of Glamorgan as areas with high play deprivation. So again, it's not to do with social deprivation or a monetary deprivation. We're looking at areas that have been play deprived, and we go into those areas and identify what their needs are, whether there's groups that we can work with in those areas so that we can again establish or enhance play provision in that area that is free play and open access. The overall is to make play more accessible to over 4,000 children across Cardiff and the Vale of Glamorgan.
We choose a community, we then carry out a community profile, which involves looking at all the different services in the area, the schools, any provision already running, how many children are there, any community buildings, and what's happening generally in the community. We then complete a community profile containing all this information. We then look at where we can go to source our volunteers, and we try and make links in the community. We go to PACT meetings, resident association meetings, and see where we can get volunteers to come from. We then try and get those volunteers together and see if there's any interest in setting up a group that will support some play in the community.
We have vans and equipment and a storage space where we will keep all our equipment, and we'll take the equipment via our vans to the play sessions across Cardiff, and when we do the cross-county events in the Vale as well. We try to make it as varied as possible. So, for example, some of the areas we go to, there's not a lot of outside space, so we'll try and bring things from outside inside as well. So it's kind of providing for the needs that maybe sometimes are not available.
We don't take down everything every week, but we do speak to the children, see what they want, see what the community wants, see what the volunteers want to do. We then train the volunteers in specific activities. Sometimes it's just a confidence build with the fire and using tools. And then we'll just take down a range of activities for each play session and see what the children and the volunteers want to do. In certain areas it's worked really well. We've got a couple of areas within Barry that we're working with resident association groups, or we're working with the schools, and that's working really well. Some areas we have struggled to get volunteers and to make the play sustainable. The area we're currently in St Athan, we've got a good base of volunteers now, and we're hoping this is going to be a really sustainable project. It's great to see that what we've started, we're actually leaving a legacy in the community, and we're leaving something for those children, because before we came along, those children didn't have the opportunities, and now they do, which is great. And even though they're not going to run 52 weeks of the year, for them to have any free play opportunities is a success for the project. I think it's great for the children of the community.
We're here today in St Athan setting up a play session. We're just starting off now. We've just got our volunteers interested, and now we're moving on to the stage of training them up so that they can take over the play sessions after we move on. The way we started off here was to create the play session so that children will come along with their parents, and then we could explain to the parents then what we do and see if they're interested in volunteering with Play Aloud. So that's the stage we're at now, encouraging parents to the importance of play, and that they can come along and just volunteer. Children, they just love playing. They want to get involved in everything.
What makes us different to sort of play schemes, for example, is that we do require a lot of community involvement, and it is really nice to get to know the parents and get to know the people in your community. And it is nice to sort of have people recognise you as well. Sort of, you're in Morrison's doing your shopping and all these kids are waving at you and they're like, I know you. And it's quite nice to get involved and get other people involved.
I work within this community, and what I noticed was there was nothing for the younger age range, sort of 5 to 7s. But then we couldn't set anything up because volunteers wouldn't come forward. And you just struggle, even though you do leaflet drops and everything, just people aren't as proactive to come and help. Whereas since the team have come in, it's been going a couple of months, we've got volunteers, the amount of children has sort of quadrupled since they first started. But we have got some mums seeing the benefit the children are getting and are happy to sort of stay with the project and support it. Because as I keep explaining to the mums, the team have come in here to set something up. It's about the community and the families that will make it sustainable.
I got to admit, I do like it. I do enjoy coming over here, and every week it's always different. There is always something different going on. You know, always something different. They've always got a different activity, or they're cooking. It's a good mix, really. It is. If you took this away, the kids would miss it. It's just. I know the parents have grown attached to it now, because I've been at the bus stop collecting my son, and the parents have said, "Oh yeah, it's Monday. You've got youth club to go to." So it's definitely a big hit, and it's made an impact. Once you get to know, you know, who's who and what they usually do, and it's like learning a new routine. I know there's a lot of frustrated mums and dads who want to bring their kids here, and you know, some of them have said they want to volunteer, and I'm sure there'll be a few more wanting to take over, and you know, up until then it'll be me chewing the crayons.
The areas that we work, the communities we work with, some are always at different stages. You've got some areas where you may have a group that's already established, but they're running, whether it's due to funding or just their ethos, they're running slightly differently to how we would run, but they want to provide play as well. It could be maybe an after-school group or a homework club. For example, in Plasnewydd, which is one of our areas in the centre of Cardiff, they've got an Empowering Children's programme, or they call it the Empowering Children's programme. So their goal is to provide activities and skills, and through things such as dance, using computer skills. But they really wanted to focus on their free play activities, so we've gone in and supported them and just offered them play training, given them practical advice on session, so that they can develop that side of it. So they were quite a good level to start with. They had some idea of what they wanted to do, and some good background knowledge of play.
My name's Ina. I'm based in, I work in play work in Plasnewydd Community Centre in Cardiff, and I am a director of joint director of a group called the Two Can Do Club. I actually worked for a group called Communities First, which is a sort of government regeneration scheme, and I got involved with a play group in the area, like I said. We were looking for support, and somebody put me in touch with Aloud from Play Aloud, set up a meeting, and it was brilliant. He, you know, gave us loads of support, and that's how we came together. What we found were a lot of kids were getting involved in crime. They didn't have anywhere to go after school, getting into trouble and stuff. We worked together with the police as well. In my other job, I worked together with the police, and we were always having complaints. But what we found working in the area, it sort of brought the kids in off the streets, and you know, they loved the project really.
When we first got Play Aloud on board, our structure behind the scenes was actually quite rigid. It didn't allow for us to have more playwork elements within it, and that was something that was really not being catered for, and you could see it. You know, we couldn't do projects, mini projects and activities that the kids would take on board. They would sort of fall out of love with the activities and that kind of thing. Having the Play Aloud team actually helped us to come up with more playwork orientated activities, and gave us the freedom actually to do things that the children really wanted to do, and do it in a way that was safe in the environment that we had, because we're renting in the setting. It's not our own, where we can, you know, be completely in charge of what goes on, what's allowed, what's not allowed. But having Play Aloud team there just give us almost like an assurance policy to get what we wanted to do in a way that was, you know, everyone was happy with.
I mean, we're there for any sort of support, whether that's them coming to the office to photocopy, they want us to help them produce leaflets, they want us to help organise events, they want to know where to get equipment from, also identifying further volunteers, setting up and how they go about things from grants. You know, we've got contacts in lots of different areas.
The 6 months process is the amount of time that we as a full team would be in an area, but we offer support beyond that. But ultimately, without volunteers, the project is unsustainable, because we need the volunteers there to run it and to keep that going and to sustain a play legacy. I suppose it's not just about running play sessions as well, it's about having people thinking about play and thinking about play the way the play workers think about play, rather than seeing it as just childcare, which is not.
The volunteers will take over the project when we leave, and they'll bring their own ideas and their own interests to the project, and hopefully they will recognise what the community and what the children need. It might be that then they can get other parents to volunteer with them and support it. So when we've gone, actually their little group will build and volunteers will build through that way, and then we can go back and further do some training with them all. We won't just, after 6 months, we don't just pull out and leave them to it. We support them and we offer them help on how to get grants and become a constituted group. So we can support them in lots of different ways, and again, that is individual to the community. The key is that they have open access, free, play, and they on the whole, the children enjoy what they're doing and they get a lot out of it. But it is very important that they have the opportunity to experience new things and try lots of different types of play.